Hey y'all, today I will be talking about Christian friendships or just friendships in general. And I will also be reading Bible verses that talk about bad friendships, good friendships, and about trying to fit in. And some quotes. Before I get into the video, let me ask you some questions. Are your friends Christians or non-Christians? Do they strive to be like Christ or the world? Would they take a bullet for you or be the one behind the trigger? Would they be like Judas and sell you for 30 pieces of silver? What I'm trying to get at here is, are they a good friend or a bad friend? Are they a loyal friend or a non-loyal friend? Somebody told me one time, you should always have your friend's number in total. I thought, well, that was a weird thing to say. But really, it's not. I have 5 friends and 2 close friends. But the rest of my friends are adults. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is, you don't have to have so many friends in life. The world tries to say, oh, you have to have this many friends and that many friends. No, you don't have to have so many friends. You should always have at least 1 or 2 close friends. And my close friend, which is my best friend, his name is Ray. He is as close to Jesus as I am. You should always have friends that are at the same level of faith as you are. Or if you don't have a lot of faith, you should always have a friend that is much higher up in the faith than you, because they could really help you out. As you know, there are 2 types of friendships, good friendships and bad friendships. So let's dive into the Word. I'm also going to be reading some quotes to y'all too. Here is the quote and the Bible verses for good friendships. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis, and it says, "Friendship is the instrument by which God reveals to each of us the beauties of others." John 15:12-13 says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends." Hebrews 10:24-25 says, "And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity." Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." What that verse is saying is, always encourage other brothers, sharpen them with your wisdom. That will make them wise too. And it doesn't say iron sharpens wood. Iron cuts down the wood. And you don't want to be the one cutting down your friend. This quote is from Will Smith. "Before anybody jumps to conclusions thinking that I support these celebrities, I do not. I do not support their lifestyle or the way they're living. I'm just reading a quote by them." Anyways, here's Will Smith's quote. "If you're not making someone else's life better, then you're wasting your time." So I'm going to read some verses about supporting your friends. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, "Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, and has not another to lift him up." Romans 12:15 says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, weep with those who weep." Then in Galatians 6:2 it says, "Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ." Now it's time to talk about bad friendships. An example of people having a bad friendship in the Bible would be Judas and Jesus. And Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Here's a quote from Tupac. "Sometimes the person you take a bullet for ends up being the one behind the gun." Doesn't that make you think? Here's a verse that can tie into the quote. Proverbs 26:18 says, "Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death, is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, 'I'm only joking.'" Don't go making comments like, "I'm only joking," when you hurt somebody really, really bad. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Whoever walks with a wise person becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." Proverbs 12:26 says, "One who is righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wicked leads them astray." And another way we can have a bad friend is them getting angry, which the Bible says, do not be friends with people who are very angry. Proverbs 22:24-25 says, Make no friendship with a man given to anger, nor go with a wrathful man, lest you learn his ways, and entangle yourself in a snare. Here's a verse that says, do not get angry with your friends. James 1:19-20 says, know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Another example of a bad friend or bad friendship can be that person going behind their back, or you going behind your friend's back. You shouldn't go behind someone's back anyways. That's very evil. Proverbs 16:28 says, a dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends. If you have a friend in your friend group and they're always gossiping about you and your other friend behind your back, you shouldn't be friends with that person. People always, all the time say, I have to fit in, I have to fit in, I have to fit in. No, you don't have to fit in. Here's a quote from Dr. Seuss. It says, why fit in when you were born to stand out? God didn't create you to be the same as others. If we were all created the same and like looking the same, thinking the same, acting the same, you know how boring that would be? Just imagine if all dogs looked the same. They barked the same, they acted the same. That would be annoying. If you try to fit in with others, that's worldly. Like you can't try to fit yourself in. You know how puzzle pieces, there's always that certain puzzle piece that looks like it should go there, but it doesn't. That's how you would be. You shouldn't have to fit in to be friends with somebody. That's ridiculous. Usually the people who are trying to fit in are trying to fit in with the world. And the Bible says, be of the word, not the world. And the world these days is all about greed, money, lust, immodesty. It's awful. And so the Bible says to be followers of Jesus, not the world. I really hope y'all liked that video. I hope that was like an eye-opening to, oh, I shouldn't be friends with this person, or I should be friends with this person. So I hope y'all have a great day or night. Peace, love, and mercy. Bye.